Welcome back to Share the English. In today's episode, we're going to get in the car and take a road trip from Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, to Liverpool, Nova Scotia. Hi, I'm Leanne Gallant, and my mission is to share the English language with the world. I do that by creating videos and at the end, showing clips and explaining any difficult words and concepts. If you enjoy my videos, please subscribe by clicking the subscribe button here. I'd like to know where you're from, and perhaps you can tell me where you went on your last road trip. Why are we going to Liverpool, Nova Scotia? Well, my son and his wife are competing in the Canadian mixed doubles curling trials for the Olympics. They're hoping to earn a berth to the 2026 Olympics in Italy, and we're hoping they do too. So why don't you come along for a ride with me and my sister to Liverpool, Nova Scotia? And if you'd like an accurate transcript of this video, go to sharetheenglish.com and enter your email address.
Okay.
It's a video?
Yeah, it's video. Okay, we're ready for our road trip. Here we go.
Okay.
We're on the road and we're coming up to Borden Carlton, where we'll soon be crossing the Confederation Bridge. This is where the ferry used to dock for Prince Edward Island, and now we have a bridge that links us to the mainland. Stay left for Borden Carlton, Confederation Bridge. We're getting close now. You can see the bridge a bit there on the left. Turn here into Gateway Village and make our first pit stop over there. Oh, we're going to make it around the corner at the Esso station. Here we are at the Tim Hortons drive-thru, and we're next. Hi. Now we're driving into Gateway Village. It has a lot of little tourist shops. It's a bit busier here in the summer than it is right now. We'll go down and get a good view of the bridge before we go and cross the bridge. I thought I'd be able to see the bridge from here, but this is just where you go on the bridge. Here are all the flags that they have up of all the different provinces of Canada. And then the bridge is up in that direction, which we will head to shortly. Here we are coming up to the toll booth. We have to pay $50 to cross the bridge to leave Prince Edward Island, but on the way back you don't have to pay. All right, here we go. The Confederation Bridge is 13 kilometers long. It's the longest bridge over water that freezes. So in the winter, the ice forms under this bridge, although right now it's not yet been cold enough for ice to form. It's kind of a dreary day, so I don't think we'll be able to see very much. Do a little bit of filming here, but I won't film the whole 13 kilometers. I'll wait till we get close to the top. Let's see. You can see the water there. Oh, you can't see now because of the barriers at the side. When we get to the top, I'll film some more. Here we are, bouncing along. You can see the peak of the bridge up ahead. And I can't see it very well anymore. And the bridge is not perfectly straight. They've put a bit of a curve in it, I guess, to keep us alert while we're driving over. It took several years to build the bridge, and it was completed in 1997. The piers are special piers that are built like the front of an icebreaker ship. So the piers will break the ice as it moves along instead of knocking the bridge over. Some people didn't want the bridge. For one, they were afraid that it wouldn't last with the ice, and they also thought it would change the island way of life. I'd say we're pretty close to the top right now. So we've left Prince Edward Island, and we will be arriving in the province of New Brunswick in a few more minutes. There we go, we're over the top. You can see the rest of the bridge ahead, and you can see New Brunswick starting to appear in the distance. Ooh, here comes a great big bus passing us. Yes, we're still driving. Everything that comes to Prince Edward Island has to come over across this bridge. Here's a big transport truck coming now, full of goods. There's also a ferry that runs starting in the spring, that runs through till around mid-December, and we have an airport, so you can also fly to Prince Edward Island. But most of the goods come across on this bridge. Here we are, arriving in Cape Girardeau. Welcome to New Brunswick. There's the New Brunswick sign. New Brunswick is the only officially bilingual province in Canada, French and English. Quebec is the French province, and the others are English, although there are French people all across the country. Here's the moose sign. You have to watch out in New Brunswick, especially for moose crossing. You do not want to run into a moose. You could die, that's why. We're on our way to Nova Scotia, so we'll just be traveling for a short while through New Brunswick, and then we'll move on to Nova Scotia. Here we are near the Nova Scotia border. See the sign there to turn for Nova Scotia, but we're gonna go straight and turn left because we're going to the big stop, which is over here, because the big stop is known to have clean washrooms. We're gonna make a pit stop at the big stop. There's the Irving Big Stop. And that's a big giant flag they have there too. Ooh, what kind of goodies do they have here at the big stop? The banana bread's usually really good here. Let's see what's over here. Oops. Ooh, a nice selection of sandwiches. We're back on the road and heading to, Nova Scotia. Here we come. This area, just where the border of New Brunswick and Nova Scotia is called the, what marsh is it? Tantramar Marsh, I think. The Bay of Fundy is over there. It comes right up to this marsh area. There we go. Welcome Center, 1 kilometer. Welcome to Nova Scotia. Bouncy welcome. Those are some big old windmills. Here we are, arriving at Oxford, the blueberry capital of Canada. And when we get around off this ramp, see if they still have that giant blueberry that they used to have. Where's the big blueberry? There's the Oxford sign. Oh wait, there's the big blueberry. Well, here we are going through the Cobequid Pass, and it's a bit foggy up here, and we're coming up to the toll. This toll, fortunately, is only about $4, Colchester County, and yeah, we can't really see very much. Oops, slow down. Here we are, Tap Cash E-Pass. can't reach to tap.
I'm too far away.
Oh, Don's too far away to tap, but he tapped for us.
Thank you.
All right, here we go. Uh-oh, a transport truck's trying to get ahead of us. Let's go. You may be noticing that we're driving by a lot of trees and not too many towns. Well, this is Canada. A lot of wide open spaces, a lot of forest, rivers, oceans, lakes, highways, and trees. Here's the turnoff to Halifax. If you miss this one, you're going all the way to Cape Breton. We're arriving in Dartmouth, and it's a dreary, drizzly day in Dartmouth today. Here we are at the Micmac Mall. Looks like we're at the back entrance or something. Anyway, we're gonna have a little pit stop here. Here we are, waiting in line to pay for our purchases at Eddie Bauer. Okay, we're coming out of our Costco adventure, stocked up for the rest of our road trip. It's very foggy out now and it's starting to get dark. We're about an hour, just over an hour away from our final destination. And we have arrived at our destination.
As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, we're here in Liverpool to attend the 2025 Canadian Mixed Doubles Curling Olympic Trials. Our son Brett and his wife Jocelyn are competing to represent Canada at the 2026 Olympics in Italy. They're both Olympians already, having competed for Canada at the Beijing Olympics in 2022. I'm going to give a few quick highlights from this week, and then at the end I'll show you some video clips and explain them. So tell me in the comments where you're from and what your favorite Olympic sports are. And if you're enjoying my Share the English videos, don't forget to subscribe.
Curling originated in Scotland, and we always have bagpipers at our opening ceremonies for national events in Canada. Here are Brett and Jocelyn walking out for the opening ceremonies with their coach Lainey, and as they walk down, they look up towards the crowd. Jocelyn's looking for us, and Jocelyn sees us and waves, and then finally Brett sees us and gives us a wave too. I didn't take a lot of video because I was watching with my eyes, but I'll show you how the leaderboard went and I'll show you the results. Here we are on the first day, ready to cheer on Team Peterman Gallant. After 3 games, they're on top of the leaderboard with 3 wins and 0 losses. And the winning continued, 4-0, 6-0, and by the end of the week, 7 wins and 0 losses, top of their pool. They made it through the playoffs to the final game. We were excited, but who was going to win? They won! Yay! Here are Brett and Jocelyn afterwards doing some interviews with the media. We're pretty proud of these 2 Canadian mixed doubles curling champions. Now they get to go to the World Championship to earn a spot for Canada in the Olympic Games in 2026 in Italy. That story had a very happy ending for us. We celebrated with the team afterwards, and then we headed back to Prince Edward Island. You can see the Google Map image here of our vehicle crossing the Confederation Bridge, heading back home to PEI.
Now I'm going to show you some clips from the video, and I'll explain phrasal verbs, difficult words, and concepts. If you want a copy of the transcript and a copy of these phrasal verbs and words, go to sharetheenglish.com. In this first clip, I tell you that we're going to get in the car and go on a road trip. And in the second clip, I ask you to come along for a ride. Welcome back to Share the English. In today's episode, we're going to get in the car and take a road trip from Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, to Liverpool, Nova Scotia. So why don't you come along for a ride with me and my sister to Liverpool, Nova Scotia? Get in the car means to enter a car or a vehicle. Come on, get in the car. Let's go. A road trip is a journey made by car, but it's not just a little trip to the grocery store. It's a journey that's farther away. For example, we went to Liverpool, which is about 5 hours from here. If you're hopping in the car and going for a long trip, you call it a road trip. And sometimes the road trip, the traveling part of it, is half the fun. I invited you to come along for a ride. That meant come along, join us on our journey to Liverpool. In this next clip, I talk about curling, in particular the Canadian mixed doubles curling trials for the Olympics. Jocelyn and Brett were trying to earn a berth, and at the end I talk about the scores, 3-0 or 3-0, which is it? Why are we going to Liverpool, Nova Scotia? Well, my son and his wife are competing in the Canadian mixed doubles curling trials for the Olympics. They're hoping to earn a berth to the 2026 Olympics in Italy, and we're hoping they do too.
After 3 games, they're on top of the leaderboard with 3 wins and 0 losses. And the winning continued, 4-0, 6-0, and by the end of the week, 7 wins and 0 losses. Top of their pool.
Curling is a sport where players slide large granite stones on ice towards a target. It originated in Scotland and is very popular here in Canada. The Canadian Mixed Doubles Curling Trials is a curling competition to earn the chance to represent Canada at the Olympics. Brett and Jocelyn played in the competition to earn a berth in the Olympics. A berth in sports is a place or position in a competition. And the scores, I said, were 3-0 or 3-0. So 3-0 is the actual score of a game, but if they have 3 wins and 0 losses, we often say 3-0. It's not technically correct, but it's something we do here in Canada. Listen to these next 2 clips where we're coming up to the toll booth and then we're heading to Nova Scotia. Here we are coming up to the toll booth and we're coming up to the toll. We're back on the road and heading to Nova Scotia. So in those clips, we were coming to the toll booth, which means we were approaching or arriving at the toll booth. And then we were heading to Nova Scotia, which means going to Nova Scotia or towards Nova Scotia. In the next 2 clips, we're going to be heading back to PEI. So heading to is when you're going towards somewhere, and heading back is when you're returning. And then we're going to go down and see, which I'll explain after. You can see the Google Map image here of our vehicle crossing the Confederation Bridge, heading back home to PEI. We'll go down and get a good view of the bridge before we go and cross the bridge. If you remember, we couldn't see the bridge from where we went, but to go down just means to go somewhere. Even if it's not lower or in a downward direction, we'll often say, we'll go down there. In these next 2 clips, listen to the difference between up ahead and get ahead. Here we are, bouncing along. You can see the peak of the bridge up ahead. Oh, a transport truck's trying to get ahead of us. Let's go. So up ahead, you can see the peak of the bridge in the distance. It's farther out in front of us. You can see it up ahead. Where get ahead means get in front of us. The transport truck wanted to get ahead of us. It wanted to get in front of us and go before us. Now listen in the next clip for the rest of the bridge. You can see the rest of the bridge ahead. The rest of the bridge is the part that wasn't seen before. You couldn't see it. It's the part that remains. For example, if you have visited Prince Edward Island, but you haven't visited any other provinces in Canada, perhaps you want to see the rest of Canada, the parts you haven't seen before. In this next clip, listen to the difference between walking out and walking down.
Here are Brett and Jocelyn walking out for the opening ceremonies with their coach Lainey. And as they walk down, they look up towards the crowd.
So when they walk out, they're walking out from the back area. They're walking out into the arena. But when I say walking down, they're just walking along after they've walked out. They're walking along towards the front of the arena. Again, just like going down, it's not necessarily in a downwards direction, but it's an expression that we use. In the next clip, listen for the piers of the bridge and the icebreaker.
The piers are special piers that are built like the front of an icebreaker ship. So the piers will break the ice as it moves along instead of knocking the bridge over.
The piers of the bridge are the vertical supports that hold up the bridge, and an icebreaker is a ship that's designed to break through ice. So these piers that hold up the bridge have been designed to break through the ice. In the next clip, you'll see a transport truck coming across the Confederation Bridge.
Here's a big transport truck coming now, full of goods.
A transport truck is a large truck that carries goods. Goods are physical products or merchandise. It could be full of the items that we buy in a grocery store. It could be full of furniture for a furniture store. Goods are just products. In the next clip, listen for crossing the bridge, a ferry, and the mainland.
Where we'll soon be crossing the Confederation Bridge. This is where the ferry used to dock for Prince Edward Island, and now we have a bridge that links us to the mainland.
Crossing the bridge means going from one end of the bridge to the other. Crossing the country would be going from one end of the country to the other. Crossing the street just means going from one side of the street to the other side of the street. A ferry is a boat or a ship that carries people and cars across the water. Before we had the Confederation Bridge, we had to take a ferry, so we had to take a boat to get to the mainland. The mainland is the main part of the country or a continent, not the islands. We live on an island, and New Brunswick is part of the mainland. It's attached to all the other provinces. In the next clip, listen for a moose crossing. And remember, you do not want to run into a moose.
Here's a moose sign. You have to watch out in New Brunswick, especially for moose crossing. You do not want to run into a moose.
A moose crossing is a location where moose are known to cross the roads. So the government puts signs there to remind you to slow down and be careful because you do not want to run into a moose. Run into a moose means to hit a moose with your car, which could be fatal. Now, running into a moose means to hit it with your car, but if you run into a friend, you may say, "Oh, I ran into my friend at the grocery store." It doesn't mean you hit them, it just means that you encountered them. You saw your friend there and maybe had a chat with them. Earlier, we talked about crossing the Confederation Bridge, and here we talk about a moose crossing, which is totally different from the word cross. To be cross means to be angry, and a cross as a noun is a religious symbol. So be careful with cross, across, and crossing. In this next clip, we make a pit stop and we make it around the corner.
We're going to turn here into Gateway Village and make our first pit stop. Over there. Oh, we're going to make it around the corner.
This was one of many pit stops that we made on our journey. A pit stop is a quick break on a journey where you stop for fuel, food, or to use the washroom. At this pit stop, we went through the drive-through to pick up some drinks. To make it means to do or accomplish something. I said at the end of that clip that we made it around the corner, or we're going to make it around the corner. So we actually accomplished what we were trying to do. In the next two clips, we go through a drive-through and we stop at a toll booth.
Here we are at the Tim Hortons drive-through, and here we are coming up to the toll booth.
A drive-through is a window at a shop where you can order and pick up items without leaving your car. In this case, we went through the Tim Hortons drive-thru and Dawn ordered some tea. A toll booth is a small structure where drivers pay a fee to use a road or a bridge. This was the Confederation Bridge toll booth, and later we had to stop at the Cobequid Pass toll booth and pay a much smaller toll. In the next few clips, we go through the Tantramar Marsh, and then the Cobequid Pass, and then we turn off towards Halifax.
This area, just where the border of New Brunswick and Nova Scotia is called the, what marsh is it? Tantramar Marsh. Well, here we are going through the Cobequid Pass, and it's a bit foggy up here. Here's the turnoff to Halifax. If you miss this one, you're going all the way to Cape Breton.
Between New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, we drove through the Tantramar Marsh. A marsh is a wetland often covered with tall grasses. It's a great habitat for birds. We then had to drive through the Cobequid Pass. A pass is a road through the mountains. Now, the mountains that are in Nova Scotia are very small. They're not like the huge mountains we have out west called the Rocky Mountains, but they're still mountains. Then we drove along and we had to take the turnoff to go to Halifax. The turnoff is the exit ramp or exit lane to another highway or another road. In our final two clips, we talk about the weather. It's foggy and dreary and drizzly.
It's very foggy out now, and it's starting to get dark. And it's a dreary, drizzly day in Dartmouth today.
It was foggy when we went through the Cobequid Pass, and it was foggy as we got closer to Liverpool. Fog is like clouds on the ground. It makes it very difficult to see. And when we were in Dartmouth, it was a dreary, drizzly day in Dartmouth. That's called an alliteration, when all the words start with the same letter. Dreary, drizzly day in Dartmouth. Dreary is gloomy and dull weather, and drizzly is when there's some light rain falling. That was our road trip to Liverpool, Nova Scotia. And if all works out well, we'll be going to the Olympics in Italy in 2026. Thanks for listening. I hope you're enjoying these videos. I'd really appreciate it if you could give me some feedback in the comments so I can improve them. I'm just new at this, so I'd like to get better. And if you're enjoying the videos, please tell 2 friends and help me share the English language with the world. And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.